Yo guys, welcome back to AJ Cars, and what we're going to be doing today is going to be 5 reasons why I love this car and 5 reasons why I not so much hate but dislike the car, would rather change about the car. So first point is the look of the car. I have spoke about it in previous videos, but I just can't get enough of how good this car looks. It just looks amazing to me. Obviously because it's the Cupra R, you've got the exhaust, you've got the diffuser, you've got the spoiler bits on the front, you've got the bumper with the vented front. It just looks amazing to me. I can't fault it at all, in my personal opinion that is. I know there's better looking cars out there. The Golfs look amazing, S3s, John's M140, they all look good, but my personal preference, I chose this purely. One of the reasons was the looks just look amazing. Second of all guys, the exhaust sounds unreal. This car actually has a catback on it at the moment, so it's not a standard exhaust. The exhaust do sound good as standard, but if you was to put a catback exhaust on, I'll put a clip in now of what that sounds like. But this exhaust does sound unreal, and it just makes the car perfect for me. When you're revving it, it just sounds unreal. And obviously at the moment, the first mod I put on the car is the intake at the front. So you've got the sound from the back and you've got the sound from the front, and together they just sound unreal. Next thing is the engine capability on these cars. This is a 2-litre TFSI, and I know a lot of cars do run that engine, the VW groups, so like VAG, so Audi, Volkswagen, I think Skoda even use them. A lot of these cars, the engine on them is unreal, the capability that you can do with these cars. I'm going stage 1 on this soon. I have spoken to a guy, I'm getting booked in next week. I'm pretty sure it's next week. But they're so easy to tune. People have hitting serious numbers on the TFSI engines, the 2 litres, they're unreal. Obviously I've got the induction kit on it at the moment. I've took the engine cover off because you can't put it on without having, unless I cut it. I've took the bonnet little fucking cover, whatever it is. That's just to help leave the engine a bit colder, so it's not got as much heat in there. But the engine capabilities on this car are unreal. You can hit serious numbers with this engine. These engines are bulletproof. They're 2-litre TFSIs. They're loads of the Golf use them. You'll see every Golf. They'll do so many miles because they're indestructible. These sorts of engines are. That's one of the reasons why I bought this car as well, because they last forever. A lot of the cars that have a 2-litre TFSI, when you run stage 1, so this, when it runs stage 1, will go about 310 because it's 265 stock. So when it hits stage 1, I think you're looking at 310. But obviously because I've got the induction kit on it already, you're looking at about 320. It'll add about 10 brake horsepower, not a lot, but it does make a difference in the long run. So stage 2, it's a bit of a different ball game because you've got the induction kit, you've got the map, you start to do a bit more with the modifications. You can hit 350, I think stage 2 is, then you're obviously pushing stage 2 plus, you're running about 380 onwards, anywhere in between that mark, and then you obviously go in stage 3, whatever it is. You're pushing big, you have to change the turbo, but obviously that's a lot of money and only a few people do it. But if you really want the power, change the turbo, you get a lot more power. So next up is the interior. Again, I've spoke about it in the past, but the interior is so nice. You've got the leather diamond stitching with the Cupra little engravings here on both. On the back of the seats, you've got the black, gloss black, I think it's ebony black, I think it's called, on the back. They look amazing. I've had a couple of people moaning at me because their Cupra Rs in different countries don't actually have them seats, and they want the seats, but you can't have them unless you're in the UK, I'm assuming. Steering wheel, I've stitched that myself. I put that on, that just makes the interior look a little bit better. This is wrapped, it's a crap wrap, I know. That's getting gloss blacked. This and this I'm going to take off. They're all getting gloss blacked, but the whole interior I just think looks amazing. It's got the sat nav on here. It's not the best, but very usable sat nav. Gear stick, I think this is actually different. I think most of the standard Cupras have a different gear stick than this, the gear, I think anyway. And that might just come with the Cupra R. But yeah, I love this interior. I'd sit in here all day. Even on the clocks, it's different. You've got the R badges, the different setup. I love this interior. Guys, the last point of why I do love this car is the rarity of it. I actually did a little research thing on how many of these there are left in the UK, and there's actually 332 left in the UK. I think 15 of them were sawned, and that's not even including people that have damaged them and they're in a shop somewhere. So on the road at the moment, you're looking at around just over 300, maybe even less. That's how rare these cars are. I've personally, where I live, I've only seen 2, and that was a long time ago. But I've never seen one in, well, I haven't seen one in the past year, 2 years, something like that. This car is so rare to find. Obviously you've got the Cupras and the FRs, you see loads of them. The Cupra R is so rare, and I love it. So I'm forcing myself to do this, but 5 things that I don't like, not necessarily don't like, but I am going to change on the car. First thing first, the exhaust. The exhaust does sound really good, and I've said it, it sounds really good, but it can be louder, and I'm going to make it louder, unfortunately, for my neighbours and everyone that is in my life. It's getting louder. It's a catback at the moment, but there's decal, I can take the silencers out. It will go slightly louder. I might put a down pop. I don't know if, does down pop actually make it louder? It does. Maybe even a down pop on stage 2, but it will go louder. That's one thing I can say about the exhaust. It sounds unreal, but as I'm a 20-year-old lad and I want to be stupid in my car, it's going louder. So the next point that I don't really like about this car is the fuel economy, and fuel economy doesn't really bother me that much because I bought the car knowing that the fuel economy is not going to be the best. Around town, I'll go to work and back, I'll probably 19, 20, if 22 if I let it warm up and I drive carefully, maybe a bit more. But on the motorway, it has got cruise control, so on the motorway, if I really wanted to be healthy with the car, I'd leave it in cruise control at 70, 6th gear, and I'd probably get about 30 to 35 if I really wanted to, but I didn't buy the car for that. I'm not trying to be fuel economic, whatever you'd say. Around town, you're looking, especially when it's cold, if you're driving when it's cold, you'll be pushing around 12. That's no lie, fuel economy is terrible when it's cold. When it's warm and you've driven it for a while, 22 around there, you'll probably, I drive it every single day. I drive it about an hour a day maybe. On weekends I'll have a little blast, and depending again, if it's warm, you're looking around 25 as an average. I'll fill up once a week, maybe once every week and a half, and it'll cost me about 70 quid to fill it. But people who buy these sorts of cars don't care about the fuel economy on them, because you know as soon as you buy the car you're going to be spending more on fuel than your average 1.2 diesel or something. This is a petrol, so you're going to use more anyway, and obviously you're using V-Power, which I only put in it, which is standard because it's probably the best fuel you can put in it, and that costs a bit more, so that's why it's more expensive. But the fuel economy, not the best. That's one of my bad points. So next on the list is the handling on the car. Handling isn't the best, but there is ways of avoiding that. You can have things like anti-lift kits, which will stop that wheel hop off the bat, anti-roll bars just to stiffen it slightly. I could put coilovers on it. I'm not going to at the moment because I have got springs which will increase it slightly. Coilovers, adjustable coilovers, they will help it a lot more. It makes it a bit more of a brace spec. Tyres as well. Tyres are a bit battered on the front. They are Eagle F1s. They are decent tyres. I am getting new tyres though. That will give it that extra bit of grip. So round corners, new tyres, maybe anti-roll bar just to stiffen it. It will change that drastically. So it's not really a bad point, because depending on what you've got on the car, this car is fully stock, so it's going to be not the best, but there is definitely ways of avoiding things like understeer and everything. Obviously oversteer is rear wheel drive, so it doesn't really come into play with this, but a lot of understeer a lot of the time. But like I said, easily changeable. It won't stay like that forever. Now, one bad thing about this car is the miles on it, and you can get these cars low miles. I seen one the other day that just came online and it was about 53,000 miles. That is low on these cars. I bought this car and it has right now 85,000 miles. Now that is a lot for a certain car like this. A normal Leon, you're probably looking at about 170,000, because a diesel one you use to drive long journeys, you use them for everyday life. This car isn't really an everyday life sort of car, but I wanted the car and I bought it for that reason. But miles on it, it is kind of high, not higher than some of them, because some of them are running about 110, but 85k, it's not the best. I wish I did get it lower, but I know I bought this car and it had, I think, 82, but because the car was so mint and it wasn't massively expensive, I kind of thought it was a steal, because it might have high miles but the car is perfect. So to me, 85,000 miles doesn't really do it justice because the car is perfect. So another reason is a lot of people out there our age that want a modified car, their initial thoughts would be Golf, R, GTI, Audi S3, I don't know, any sort of top hot hatch that holds a lot of clout, and Volkswagen hold a lot of clout. People don't realise this is actually a VAG group car. It's Seat, so people don't really think about it too much, but it's highly underrated. People, in their initial thoughts would be, I'm going to buy a Golf because that's the best hot hatch I can get out of there, or I can have an M140 like John's got, or I can have an S3. But it's different. It's so different because not a lot of people think Seat as a hot hatch sort of car. Yeah, it really is, because if you do the comparisons between this and a GTI, for example, price wise and power wise, they're not that different, and price wise this is actually cheaper. So alternatively you could get a GTI, but to me the rarity of this car just stands out to me. Same sort of power, lower in price. It might not hold the clout that a VW does, but to me I thought this was like so perfect just because of how rare it was. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Drop a comment if you got any questions about the car. I'll be happy to answer them. Tell me anything I need to know about this car. But we'll leave it at that. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.